Hello everyone, Richard Carlton here. Welcome to another awesome day of FileMaker training. Here I am. Welcome everyone. Glad you're here. And I'm going to mute that real quick so I don't have to hear that. So we are broadcasting in high definition today on FMTrain.tv where we do awesome, great, lots of fun things. So real quick, I am adjusting my screen here. I want to welcome everyone on Discord who's already joined us. As you can see right here, the Discordians. That's what we call you, Discordians. The Discordians are showing up. Once again, today is more of a basic conversation today, not a super advanced conversation. And I'm not sure if Nick Hunter is free. Margaret, if you're there, if you want to, looks like she was unable to connect. Oh my goodness, right? I guess I could try to call her. I could try to call her, and I could try to call Nick. Why don't we try both of these people real quick? Normally I would have done this, but Nick came sliding in sideways, literally. There's Margaret. Margaret, are you there? All right, you're live on TV. Welcome. Go ahead and mute yourself. So that's one person. Then if Nick wants to join, he can join as well. So today we're going to be talking about basic container fields in the FileMaker platform, how you interact with them, how you deal with them. I cover this, and then like a week later, people ask me questions about it. So people miss this all the time, so we're going to cover it again today. I know this seems repetitive for a lot of you, and so once again, this is not like a super advanced Nick day, although if Nick is here, Nick, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Nick is here, so in the event of boredom, Nick will dial up the level of difficulty quite a bit. So I just wanted to alert people to what was going on with that. Real quick, so the upcoming broadcast schedule, if you want to know what's going on real quick, you can go to a webpage and you can go go to fmtraining.tv, and it brings up to this wonderful website right here. And you can press the live training button right here. In fact, I'm going to hit the option reload. Yep, I guess that is it. You get the live training and come down here and see the upcoming broadcast schedule. So today and tomorrow are kind of basic intermediate days. Tomorrow is a bunch of questions that we've accumulated on FM Forum, which is a online community where people ask questions. There's definitely some people there. I don't know if Kyle is there today with us. Is Kyle already with us today? Because there's a guy there who reminds me a lot of Kyle, right? I don't know if it's Kyle, but every time someone asks a question, literally it's like, you should use SQL or a custom function for that. Like literally, and the guy has 30,000 posts on FM Forum, and I was laughing. I said, maybe that's Kyle secretly as an alter ego, right? So it's so we're gonna address the conversation tomorrow. We'll answer questions. Kyle will be here, I'm sure. He'll make it, and then on Discord you can see he'll have an answer for every question that comes up. It'll be JSON, SQL, or custom function. It's just the way it is, right? So today and tomorrow, basic days. Next week, there's a little bit of a problem because Claris sent out an email to everyone letting them know that Monday is going to be on naming conventions. Next week, we're going to be doing transplant day 1, day 2. It's where you're taking two FileMaker files, combining them together, and Nick is going to go through the way he does it. It's definitely one of those situations where it's a process when you're combining multiple FileMaker files together. There's more than one way to do it. I'm sure Kyle can show us how to do it with SQL, JSON, and a custom function. But this is going to be the Nick technique for that. It's something he's been doing with customers recently quite a bit. Next week, we haven't heard from Jonathan Ray in a while. Jonathan Ray will be back talking about basically some lean design stuff. Although Jay doesn't think of it, he kind of ran into this technique. And at the end of the day, I looked at it, and it smelled very, very lean designish to me. So very neat to see people doing stuff like that as well. So that is the conversation. So Nick, how often do you run into people who need custom functions? How often does that happen for you? People running into custom functions, or not custom functions, not custom functions, sorry. Container fields. Today is on container. See, I've been Kyleized. I've been over-Kyled. I've been too much Kyle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into FileMaker. I'm going to start a brand new blank file. But how often people want containers for digital documents all the time, right?
Yes.
And?
Hello?
I'm here. I
have
a one-word answer. Tell me why you're right for the job for President of the United States. Yes. Yes.
No. The container field. Actually, I try to limit them at the maximum, the containers. So I try to combine them in one table where I have one one container, and I put all my container field there. All my media there.
If we put a container together at the basic level, what are the concerns about containers, right? With documents, because people need document storage all the time in the FileMaker platform. It's like a standard thing, right? So we have this container feature over here. For those of you who don't know about, as you define a field, a container is a kind of field, right? Yes, Nick?
Yes. Yeah, it's a field.
It's a field with a couple options on it. I mean, this is so basic, we're having a hard time talking about it. But if you go into the field right here, you double click it, it'll bring up options. You can auto enter options, things like that. You could do limited validations, but storage is the important part about the container. It's like the number one thing that people run into. I'm going to zoom in a little bit for those of you who are on Twitch or on YouTube. You can see this. You can store the container internally within a FileMaker file. That's the default. Or you can store it externally, which is a major performance improvement. And especially if the file is running on a FileMaker server, I highly recommend that you turn this on right here, okay? I would for a number of reasons that have nothing to do with security, but have to do with performance, I would leave it as secure storage. Secure implies security, but it also, in the big scheme of things, allows it to handle much larger numbers of containers, PDFs, documents, whatever you want to stick in there. And so you can say okay with that, and then I'm going to zoom back out here real quick. And then so as we start to build a file over here with the container, there's my container on it, and I'm going to take a screenshot. I put it in here. It's in there, right? That makes sense. But what's happened is that my sample file, there's my FileMaker file right there. It created an external folder for the container right here. There it is, and it's called secure, right? Makes sense. So there it is, and inside here, because it's secure, it's chopped up into little bits in different little directories and different files, and it's encrypted. So it makes it very hard to break into. If it was unsecure, you'd actually see the same little you see this little image right here, it would have been moved into there, and you'd still be able to go in there and double click it. And so there's scalability issues with that. That's never really been addressed. Secure is just a much better answer all the way around, plus it's encrypted. So ideally, I'm running the file locally here, but both of these would be on your FileMaker server. When FileMaker server is backing up, it's going to back this up. Frequently, we get a lot of customers, they'll have megabytes of data, maybe 100 megabytes of data or gigabyte of data. And then they'll have 20 gigabytes of contracts and PDFs and all the supporting business documentation that they need. And so that's really common. Customers who don't do the containers externally, they keep them internal. Instead of a single 100 megabytes of data in their FileMaker file, which is nice and light and fluffy, a gigabyte or 100 megabytes is no big deal. But when you have 20, 30, 50 gigabytes of data in a FileMaker file, the FileMaker file is combined. It's one giant fat file. It makes backups harder, it makes performance slower. There's a million things not to like about that, none of which are good. So along the way, we're going to take questions. So questions along the way. Today is about you asking questions about containers, right? We're going to cover some basic low-hanging fruit. I'm going to progress along here. David Angel said secure versus not secure in terms of performance. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and explain to you since you asked the question. Okay, I'm going to switch. I'm going to move my picture out of the way here. I'm going to put me over here in a very narrow slice of Richard. Okay, I'm going to bring this over here. I'm going to change this. I'm going to use my keyboard shortcut with my hand, Command-Shift-D. I'm going to do this once for everyone to see. It's File, Manage, Database. There we go. And going forward, I'll use a keyboard shortcut. I'm going to double click it. I'm going to convert it to open storage. Okay. So here's an important thing. I'm switching it to open storage, not secure storage. Okay. It's going to say, hey, you want to convert all the records, the millions of records you have. Say, yes, please convert them. This might take a little time. You can't do this conversion if it's on server. If it's on FileMaker Cloud or FileMaker Service being hosted, you can still do this. But then Pro doesn't do it. The server does it for you, right? So then it'll sit there and watch a little progress bar, okay? Now, I've switched over here. I've got my file right here. I'm going to bring this over here. Here is the, so this is my, once again, right here, for those of you who can see this, that's the FileMaker file. This is the external containers. They're external, but they're no longer encrypted. So if I double click and open it, I come down here, it says container. There's the screenshot, no longer encrypted. I could double click it and it pops it up. Okay, there's a screenshot. Now, this is where I was saying that you're going to run into issues. I actually prefer to have it open if I could, but I can't. And here's what happens. Say that over here you have 20,000 records. Like if you've been in business for any period of time, you've been in business 30 years, you've got tens of thousands of invoices, for example, or projects or something like that. If there's a contract or a scan or one or two scans for every item that you have, right? Then you're going to run into this situation where it's going to stick all those in here. So if I create the next record, so I'm going to go over here, new record, Command Control N with my left hand. I'm going to find here's another screenshot right here. I drop it in there. Now it's stuck it in here. So what if I have 20,000 or 100,000 records? You have 20,000 or 100,000 files in a single directory. Operating systems don't like that, period. Okay? And so, let's do another record. Okay? And then suddenly before long, you've got a directory with too much data in it. Okay? It's a problem that even 360 works with super container, for those of you who know about that. It's kind of the way of doing this before FileMaker had this container improvements, but they would actually separate each item into its own directory. So you can have, and this for those of you who don't know about this, you can have an operating system, 1 million directories, like it says container. Imagine the container had a UUID on it or some sort of serial number. Container 5131212, and it has one record or one attachment, right? And then another directory and another file, another directory, another file. Windows and Mac, and I assume Linux to a degree, would much rather have 1 million directories with single files than one directory with 1 million files. Okay? You understand what I'm saying? They would much rather have that. There's a natural barrier. Over the years, the operating systems get better. But I remember back in the day where 1,000, 2,000, you would come over here and you knew there were 1,000, 2,000 files in here, and you turn this. And this is like within the last 7 or 8 years. And you get a beach ball while it's trying to figure out to display it. It's not sorting it. It's just trying to process the fact you've asked for 2,000 lines, right? There is a natural barrier in there. I couldn't tell you what it is right now. But if you flip that open and say, give me 50,000, it may be a little bit. Holy cow, the bunny is back. Definitely a bunny kind of day. So basic beginner kind of questions. Nick, do you want to say anything about what we're talking about right here?
So yeah, with the security storage, of course you have the encryption. So you need to have the time of the encryption and decryption of the file each time you see it, right? So it's so if you have giant big files, like big I don't know, or a big big picture, big PDF, like and you want to encrypt them, it's better not to encrypt FileMaker and to encrypt the PDF itself. In that case, that's what I want to say.
Yeah. So the idea is that, okay, so these are all fairly small. The biggest files I typically have are 40 or 50 megabyte PDFs. And for the most part, I don't have too many problems with that. But I just flipped this back to secure storage. You can see how it just broke everything up. So we had 3, and I had 3 items in here, but it's not because there's 3 here. It actually, if I delete some of these and get rid of them, it's not going to necessarily clear these things out. It takes a file and literally breaks it apart all sorts of interesting ways. And the files tend to cross-pollinate across multiple directories. It's really interesting what they did. Of course, they're not very open about how they did it or what they did because they want that to be kind of secure. But I'm sure they said the encryption level was 256, and they put a salt in there and all that kind of stuff. If you know what encryption's about, then you understand what we're saying. So that's the basics of storing the container. The next item that comes on with a container is the idea that containers can come in, and this is kind of a Mac Windows thing a little bit, but if you have a Mac server or a Mac client copy of FileMaker that's running on the server, or the client's a Mac, if you put a document in here, it will give you a thumbnail in most cases. So here's a PDF document right here. We just tested this on Windows I spent an hour and a half wrestling with this earlier today, figuring out what the limitations were. But FileMaker makes a call to the Apple operating system to render a thumbnail. So if I create a new record right now, Command N, new record, I put the PDF in here. Because I'm on a Mac, it's going to locally, it'll make a call to the Mac operating system to generate a thumbnail. So here's your thumbnail. But the server's Windows, but I think it still works if the server's Mac and you have a Windows client. That's fine. But if you have Windows on both sides, you're going to get just the icon of it. Like if I put like an icon of like an Excel spreadsheet over here. If I grab this and bring this over here, an Excel spreadsheet, it'll look like that on Windows for everything. On the Mac, if it's a Word file, a PDF, it's an image, things like that, it will well, not images so much. Images always tend to work on Windows, but it's on the Mac side, if you have a PDF, it will generate a thumbnail. Word file thumbnails, PowerPoint sometimes will give you thumbnails. It's really quite good. It's quite good. So the idea is that within a container, you can go to layout mode. So I'm in layout mode. You click on the container. If you come down on the right pane, so there's a left pane and a right pane, right, in layout mode. Left pane, right pane. And then within the pane, there are panels. So left pane, right pane. Left pane has 3 panels. Right pane has 4 panels. You click the very right one, which is the data panel. It used to be labeled data. If you hold over it, now it says data, right? So you kind of look, that's the database one. You come down here, you have this option down the bottom right. It's hard to see. I'm going to zoom in for the people not on Discord. The top image is images, PNG, JPEG, etc. I highly recommend you leave this as a default setting for almost everything. Because if you do interactive, it starts to suck down performance of your FileMaker client machine. And the reason is, I'll say this right here. I'm going to make the container a little bit bigger so you can see this. But now it's set for interactive. I go to browse mode. I'm going to go back here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in, say, for example, a video. So we have our opening video here, or I have this is an audio of people giving an applause. Now, right here, it's brought in the video player, and it's going to allow me to attempt to play it. And you probably can't hear it coming through. It's on the computer here. And so, but every time you flip through a record, it's going to attempt to bring it forward into a player. Especially if you have video in there, it can be kind of chunky and slow things down. Right, and so you want to turn off the interactivity if possible, unless you really have a situation where people want to see that content. It's like calculation fields that fire on your computer all the time. You're flipping through records, flip, records, and so yeah, Nick, if you want to jump in, right?
Yeah, I want to jump in about the video. FileMaker is not, and I put not N-O-T in capital letter. It's not a streaming software.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It's not. Okay. So I remember I had a customer. He was adding videos and videos and videos and videos and videos and videos, right? And one day Jacob called me and said, "Hey, your customer server exploded this morning." Yeah, because the videos like 200 gigabyte videos, HD, 4K, and okay. So and FileMaker, each time it was loading and all the things, right? It was like a nightmare. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I used you use a web viewer, mm-hmm. and you use any kind of a platform like a Wistia or Twitch or whatever, maybe even YouTube if you want, to get the videos, mm-hmm. because otherwise you forget about it.
Yeah. So managing videos is a lot different than managing. I mean, I understand that they're both. You can put them in a container, but the bulk and the size of them is so gnarly that it's really hard to put them. Like people say, "Hey, Richard, can I download your video player and run it offline?" I said, "Yeah, if you want to carve out about 1 terabyte of space, because if you look at all the courses we have in here, it's a huge amount. Each one of these is upwards of 60 gigabytes in size. Each course that we have here is upwards of 60 gigabytes, right? It's quite a bit of data. And so what we do is, like, we're doing training. We say, here's a live stream right here. Let's check out the live stream from Nick's table of contents webinar from Monday, right? So you click on here. It's going to play this. Hello, it should play it. There it goes. Little delay. And then it's going to play it right through the internet. Right through the internet. It's coming from a streaming service called Vimeo. We could use YouTube, but YouTube is such a disaster. And I can't say this enough. YouTube is designed to keep you glued to watching it by whatever you're interested in. YouTube knows that I love blowing stuff up and flying helicopters in FileMaker. And so all I get are things where things are exploding or are helicopter aviation or FileMaker. And that's all it gives me. And I click on it. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a new video of a guy did an auto rotation with a and the helicopter and it slid in sideways and blew up, right? And it throws that at you. And then all the way it'll throw it. Oh, would you like a ad for your competing company in FileMaker? So if you're trying to have a conversation, like right here, I'm trying to provide training. I don't need ads right here for YouTube going, by the way, there's this really great starter solution from this other company in Greece, right, that does FileMaker, right? And so when I'm training people, I want to pay the video streaming company to give me the content and not put any ads on the screen, and that's what Vimeo does. So I think Ken on Discord was talking about this yesterday or the day before, going, yeah, you're totally right. YouTube is a disaster for that, right? A total disaster. So if I'm going to move this over here, I'm going to invert myself, go the other way. And so here's the Discord conversation that's kind of going on over here. But Ken was having challenges with same kind of challenges, and YouTube is just not. If you want to mindlessly waste your time, go visit YouTube, because that's all there. And then you'll get these ads for, like, did you know this secret device can thermally look at this and it should be illegal, but if you give us $1 million right now, you can have one. I'm like, So yeah. Is in Ken's feed.
There are questions.
All right, so what's the question? Does FileMaker handle duplicates? FileMaker does this is a web viewer, so it's not a video built in. It's a web viewer. But if I move that out of the way and I come back over here, if I keep sticking the same document in here, FileMaker creates a checksum or a hash of it, an algorithm like a UUID, and it's unique to that file based on the size of the file and all sorts of things. And it knows that the file is identical. It will not store the file a second time. It makes a reference to it, if that makes sense, right? What other questions do we have?
B. Sutton at RCC. If you use Secure, is there any way to reconstruct the data outside of FM?
No, if you're the National Security Agency, probably. I can't do it. I don't work for the NSA. So. All right. What other questions?
Is there anything to do to control backups when they are external? Is everything automatic?
Backups. Okay, so we have a webinar where we talked about backing up. Okay, so when if you go to FileMaker server, we had a whole webinar on this. I'm not going to really address this. By default, it'll back everything up, but you can choose to back up the containers separately on a different schedule if you want. We talked about that in our live streams. If you go back to our live streams here, you can go to YouTube, go to Vimeo, or go to our video player. You come into your video player. You might want to download the latest videos. When we say download the latest videos, we're not downloading the video. We're downloading a directory listing of with the title and the URL to get to it, right? So I go to live streams right here. And then the last week or two, we had the conversation with Jacob Taylor about backing up the containers. So I am not sure where that's at in here. We'd have to find that record and post it. It's in here somewhere. If I dig through this, I'm not going to do it right now. But we did, in the last couple of weeks, we have done, Margaret, if you want to dig for it, in the live streams, but we did a conversation where we talked about very specific backups for containers, treating them differently on FileMaker server. By default, they back up with the actual database. So if you ask for a backup every hour, it will back up the file if it's changed. If it hasn't changed, it makes a hard link to it. The same with the containers at hard links. The idea is that the file hasn't changed. It's not going to keep making copies in the backup. It makes a hard link on the backup drive, wherever that volume is or that drive is at. So once again, we talked about that at great length. And I'm not sure what day that is. You'd have to do a search in here for Jacob.
FileMaker container backup optimization.
Yep. What day is that? Right here, backup optimization right here. So if you click on 4/9, come back to live stream on April 9th. We covered this. We spent a whole hour covering this topic. Okay, so that answers that one. Next question we have.
One last question from David Angels: how to store the container file with the ID field name.
That easy.
I don't understand the question. ID field with the ID field. You mean
yeah?
You
want to store? You want to name the file with the if you have an ID field in the table, you have a, let's say, ID account. He wants the container to be named with the ID account, which is super easy to do.
Well, you'd have to, when you drag it in, it has its name initially, right? You could rename it. But you have to, the renaming is basically an export and a re-import, right? Using base64.
Yeah. No, I mean you can create a folder with the ID and put the field in.
Oh, you're talking about getting the attributes of the container. Is that what we're talking about? Is that
No.
Well, that's actually another great topic. Nick did 2 live streams on that. Don't you remember, Nick? Get container attributes. You did a whole, and that's more advanced topic. Margaret, if you want to find that one. So we had the one, we want to cross post this TK 4920. Yeah. So you go to the 49, and I could the new video player has the option to see, read more, including a split data setup. The new video player has the option. You can hold the key down and it pops it into a browser, and you can watch it in a browser separately. You don't have to be inside FileMaker here, right? So that's a nice thing to have. I would give you that link. But Nick did this about 2 or 3 months ago, right? Maybe end of last year. Container attributes, December 15th, 2020.
12/15.
So if I go to 12, I warp backwards in time here. Okay, hang on, warp backwards in time. 12, 12, 12, 12, 12, 12, 12, 12, 12, 12, 12, 12. Oh, there it is. 15, get container attributes. A whole hour of Nick talking about this. So once again, we can't cover every answer, but a lot of times if we've already done it, we're going to direct you to it. It's a little bit more advanced, but this is getting the attributes of a container and file name and size and encoding and all sorts of stuff. I can bring this up. So this is a digital document management. So Nick did his a while back, which kind of hurt my head. And so this is kind of a much more basic, super basic digital document management, beyond basic. In fact, it's so basic that it will be considered offensive to a Nick Hunter. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop this open if I can find it. Where'd it go? There it is, simple digital document management. So this is a file that we can make available to you folks here pretty quick if I can open it. Where'd it go? Close that, close that. Is it hiding? Where'd it go? Did I not open it? There it goes. And so what this is it's every record could be a document, but in my case what we're doing is we're doing like a topic, like a specific contract for a customer or something, like some sort of specific customer issue. So say we were going to do a specific contract for customer ABC or something like that, right? And so we're in a list view right now, very basic stuff. And then I can drill down on this. And normally what you do is you would have the basic document. I'm going to find the, I don't know if I have a PDF here or not. I've been wrestling with PDFs and playing with stuff all day. I'm just going to find a screenshot right here. I'm going to put this screenshot, or wait a minute, how about samples in here? No, PDFs, broadcast samples. Screenshot. Yep. Nope. All right. So I'm just going to drag it in right here, what I did right here. What we did here is, because we run into a lot of situations, these are the containers along the side. What is neat about this file and once again, Nick would hate the design of this, but this is designed for basic training, and I use this kind of stuff personally, is that you can, on the first container, it puts it in here very large, assuming there's not a lot of text in here. Sometimes you run into documents where you actually want to capture some text, right? And if you end up having a bunch of text, then what we do is you could paste it in here. You can have supporting docs in here. But if you don't have any text, like any relevant text more than about a sentence or two, I tune this for myself, me personally, because I use this stuff I literally use it on all my aviation stuff, all my other stuff, all my company stuff, anytime I'm tracking documents, not necessarily contracts, that would be threaded and integrated into my invoice or a project statement like RCC. This is for other stuff. Contracts is a generic term here. It could be anything. But the idea is that it gives me a large thumbnail, large version of thumbnail, of the first item only, if there's not a lot of text in here. So then if you had a lot of supporting documents, you could put them in here as well. Now, the trick is what FileMaker doesn't do, which we have to script, is the ability to open up and look at this. And I don't ever use the interactive option that we saw in the container previously. I only press the open button. I set up a button that opens it. The operating system opens it, and it pops it open in a preview. It works the same in Windows, and it works pretty much the same in iOS because it gives me a consistent behavior. The interactive checkbox that you have in FileMaker doesn't work consistently from computer to computer, from device to platform to platform. So it gets into once again, half the time I feel like I'm wrestling with Mac only issues or Windows only issues, and I want this to be universal for everything. So what we do is I say it's in here. I capture the date it was captured. The file name is captured right here, and thanks to Nick and a custom function from Nick. Thank you very much, Nick. I have the file size right here, and it'll be megabytes or gigabytes or whatever. And so I use this. If I open up a file, let me show you how crazy this can get. Let me open up. I'm going to show you guys something I wouldn't normally show you. What this has to do with aviation related stuff because I'm a pilot, right? So I keep track. So what I also did is I also kept track of categories. And so what I did is I had my own personal category. Now I wanted to make it a slide that would slide in and out, but because of limitation with FileMaker, it ends up, this is a card style window that happens to be glued on the right side that kind of looks like a hamburger menu, but it's all fake. It's all totally fake. And these are different categories that I have. So if I go over and I'm looking for maintenance documents, say I click on maintenance documents right here, what it's going to do is it's generating a found set it generates a found set over here of documents. And then, and so what I did with this is that all the documents are in one table. These aren't separate tables. And so if I do a search for anything, like say I had to get a medical, and I can't remember where I got my medical. I got my medical for the next 2 years. So legally I can be a pilot in command of an aircraft for 2 years. But I can't remember my medical. And I know it was a medical. If I type a search in here, since I'm only using one table, I'm searching across all the categories that were over here. All the categories over here, I'm searching across everything. So I kind of like that idea of being able to search, because a lot of times you search for something, you're not searching in the right place. But if you knew you were in one table in one area, you could always find what you're looking for, right? Makes sense? Once again, it's a different way of solving the same kind of problem. And so if I do a search for medical, in an ideal world, it still says maintenance documents here, but I could go to the medical, and I know it's in medical. I can see the record here. I click it open. I click it right here. And it is a Word file. This one's a Word file. If I go, I'm on medical, but I know I want to go to medical, so I'm going to go to, where's FAA medical documents here? So there's that. I go to the very bottom. I have my class. Oh, it should be in here. I don't see it in here. Where's my class 2? Let me take a look at this one. This is a class 2 or class 3? This should be a class 2. So, but I can't really read it. No, I can't read it, right? How do we read it? I'm going to press the button right here, pops it full size. I can scale it up and say this was a class 2. So that actually label I realize right here is incorrect. So I need to make that a class 2 medical. I have a new class 2 medical. It's supposed to be in here somewhere. I swear it's in here. Let me type medical again. Maybe I didn't put it in here. I really hope I did. Class 2. Oh, here it is right here. Oh, I didn't do Roman numeral 2. I did see what happens, right? So you name it differently. So here is the new one I got. And they're like, "Oh, I can't read it." Come over here. Press the open button. Read it. Right? So there you go. See how that works? So basic, this is the stuff that if you're a beginning bunny level, Megan level, or intermediate level developer, you can do this stuff right here. And this sample file will give you, okay? And so these are all categories that are specific to me. The category capability is in your file over here. So we gave you this category capability right here. It's got a couple basic, and what it does, it allows you to set these categories up. Every time you're doing something right here, you're changing the found set of the tables. That makes sense? Margaret, we got questions in here?
We do. We've got one from YouTube. Anyway, container can store data into S3?
Not as a checkbox. You can store yesterday, was it yesterday? Yesterday with Joe Martin. We talked about the AWS samples from yesterday. So someone was just asking me about that again yesterday. They lost the samples, so I'm going to go and find this again for them. So if you want to store things in AWS 3, we have a sample file for that. It's a different conversation, a different project. It's not what I consider beginning or intermediate. Writing an API to move things to S3, because this was asked of me, right? So if I go here, I go to FM starting point, right? Oh, there it is right there. And you go to the marketplace at the top. You see all these things that are in here. Lean design, this, that, the other thing. Right here, FileMaker integration, AWS. There are 3 samples in here. Yesterday we talked about the optical character recognition, right? We talked about this text extract. But in the sample file, if you go through this and fill it out, it'll email you 3 sample files. You have dynamic upload and download to S3 storage. So it's in there. But it's deeper than beginning, so I'm not going to cover it right now. It has to do with Amazon S3. These are all files that we have set up. I have a test account that I put money into every month. I pay for it. So when you get the demo, it still works. Because any other API demos, they don't work from any company unless there is a secret token in there. And the secret token we have in there allows you to play with these services in a limited way. We keep track of the bill. Someday someone will probably try to use this with a customer and cause a big problem with my credit card, and then I'm going to cancel it out and they'll be out of luck. But right now these actually work without you doing anything to personally make them work. They just work. So this is really great stuff here. So that is the answer for that one. Question, Margaret, other questions? I lost you, Margaret. You're there and you're gone.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying that there's a small discussion about the fact that interactive containers and Windows have bugs.
Well, I don't use them because of the performance issue. Because if I was over here, right? I mean, you guys want to suffer a little bit. I guess we could always suffer. I'm going to go back to this one here. I don't know if I really want to do this, but I'm going to open it up again. I'm going to make a design change real quick right here. I'm going to change this to interactive container, right? And then the world's going to probably come to a grinding halt. Because I can flip through here pretty quick. It's pretty quick. But if I start playing this on interactive container, right? And I go browse mode. All right, here we go. So now I'm scrolling. FileMaker is struggling. It's struggling. It might crash the computer. If I go offline and the broadcast dies, it's because you shouldn't do this, right? But it's in there. It's literally like, for those of you who have sharp scissors and knives at home and you let your 2-year-old run around the house with them. So FileMaker is now struggling to show me and render this stuff. And if I don't move and I let this sit here for a little bit, eventually something will happen with these containers right here. But I'm trying to move my mouse control right here with my mouse. It's very, very sluggish. Now these are actually images, so it made thumbnails, and those pretty easy. But these other ones are larger PowerPoint files. It's having a hard time with that. You know, struggle. So, and this is just me accessing this system. Who knows what kind of pain and agony it's causing on the FileMaker server. I put 20, 30, 40 people in the server doing this too at the same time. That's it, baby. Not lean design. It's porky design. Okay.
Yeah, the thumbnails creation here is it's very sluggish. You know, when you have the entity container, it creates a thumbnail on the fly. So in that particular option here, it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare. So what I'm doing, maybe you can show that. I'm creating myself my own stored thumbnail, kind of a copy of the container. I don't know if you can show that.
Okay. So now I see how much faster it's going here. Okay. So this is
it's cached.
Yeah. Well, no, it's downloading them, but it's pulling down thumbnails from the FileMaker server. So I turned off the interactive, so you see how much faster it is, right?
Oh yeah.
But Nick is talking about a level performance actually even faster than this, and that's where you create your own thumbnail. I've thought about doing that. I don't have a demo that does that, Nick, because these are all like the conventional container, but I set them for...
You create a container field. You create a container. I can show you. You can build on the fly if you want. It's very simple.
I'm not going to do it. You could build on it. You want to show your screen and do it?
No, it's okay. No? I can. We can actually. We can do a full session about this. I prefer.
You would prefer.
I'm not in my environment. I'm not in a good environment for that.
I can tell you're in a different microphone, right? You're in a different microphone.
Yeah, and not only that, but I had a long meeting with a customer just before, and I'm processing the video, the recording.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's my computer is kind of a little bit sluggish.
Yeah.
So I don't want to take the risk to crash everything. So.
Well, the thing is that this works, as you can see, it's working pretty well. I can do a find all. So let me do a find all, and as I scroll through here, we'll get to a spot where you'll see a little delay. Those are different items there. See that little delay there, and then it's grabbing the thumbnails from the FileMaker server and giving them to me at the client level. So that's pretty quick. I don't have a lot of sluggishness here, but you can dial the performance up one whole level because there are times where the thumbnails get dumped by FileMaker and you have to re-download them, or FileMaker server has to reprocess them. It doesn't keep them. And Nick's talking about permanently keeping a thumbnail in a separate container that you use to look at, right? Which is not a bad idea. I've actually thought about that. Questions? I use a second auto enter that gets thumbnails. With the get thumbnail, right? You can use an auto enter for that, right? I mean, I could create that, but you need a better demo. Because listen, I've got 431 records here. There's literally 15 gigs of documents in here, right? And it's doing this pretty damn quick. But if you want to scroll through thousands or millions of records, you might want to dial the performance up one more notch. This is still, for my level, pretty cool, right? So, and of course, I'm capturing all sorts of stuff. Like someone has a really cool dolly that they built, right? I bring it up over here, and I get a picture of dolly because I could actually weld and build a dolly like that, right? So I have people like, you can weld? Like, yeah, shit, I can do all sorts of stuff. So I was like, can I weld a dolly and build that, right? Blah, 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 right? And I'm like, yeah. So I get pictures because there's no apparently blueprints for building these on the internet, I found out. So anyway, but neat stuff in here. So Alpha Coburn 73 says 100 votes yes. Container thumbnails on the fly. I could build it real quick here, but I would rather not break my live file, since I don't want to kill that for everyone. If you put it in over here, so this is the full-size container here. So let me go and just do this. Kyle, you guys want to give me the exact calculation you want me to put in there? You have a preferred calculation that I use, right, Kyle? We could try this, and then what Nick will probably do is, knowing Nick, he'll He'll make a webinar on this or a live stream on it, and then he will super enhance it to make it way better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the basic non-NIC version here. So what I'm doing is I'm making myself a little bit more room on here. This is we'll call this the original. I'll call it the full container, and then we're going to make a thumbnail of it, right? Something like that. But in order to do that, I need someone to give me the full calculation because I'm not going to try to write it in real time in front of everyone. So we're going to go. So I'm going to go into File. We're going to do it right now. Here we go. We're eating our own dog food. In the event I die a horrible death, someone come find the body of me. Right? I'm in Santa Clara. All right. So container, and you guys see like, oh my God, container 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that's because I don't want relationships because I want it all flat. Thank you. So anyway, but we're dealing with container 1. I only show container 1 over here. Container 1, listen, you start off with container 1. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. And you're like, well, what if you had the supporting document? You have your medical certificate, but what if you had a supporting document that said something else? Well, you really don't want another record where it gets disconnected. And if it's relationally connected, then you have this performance issue because FileMaker going through relationship a lot of times sucks. And so you make it flat. And that's why you have those containers down the side. You're like, oh, what a horrible human. But mine will keep working when all yours quits working because they're too slow, right? So, but we're going to make it even faster. So I'm going to define a new one. It's called container 1. I'm just going to call it container 1 thumbnail. Container 1 thumbnail. I'm doing this live. I was not planning on doing this. If this dies, I'm going to be very sad. So I want a container field, but I want to auto enter in a container field, right? Create container. Can I auto enter? Am I doing this right? You guys yell at me. Auto enter. Calculated value. Right? Is that what I want?
Yeah. Get thumbnail.
Get thumbnail. Okay, so Kyle says 80, which is fine, I guess. 80.
No, it's too small. Too small.
Okay.
Yeah. You need. Okay, we are written.
Kyle, okay? It's too small. We need to be.
It's too small. We are on retina display. We need to multiply that by at least 3.
Okay, but I don't have a retina display.
I put 200, 200. I put 200, 200.
All right, well, I don't have a retina display, so I'm going to do 150. But yes, field, and the field would be container 1. Okay, here we go. So do not reference. Is that okay right there? Do not reference. Okay, fine, right. Okay, hit OK. Do not replace. Oh, you don't want to. You want the word replace if you update it, right? So you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, if you change the container, you want a new container.
New container to update. By the way, that is a certification test question. You better know how that works and what will cause this to update, what caused auto enters to update, and this checkbox right here. They're like a lot of questions on that. So there we go. Okay, save it. Of course, it sticks it below. It destroys my thing. I hate that. Die. I hate that. Don't do that. All right, so I'm going to take my other container. So this is a container right here. This is, what I say, a $1.50 by $1.50. Is that what I did? 150 by 150. But my object here is not really 150 by 150. So I want it to be 150, 150. I go to click on it. I come over here to the position.
Yeah, okay. Let me explain something here. Okay. Because it's important. You said 150 by 150, but you cannot have the container. If you want the container to show correctly, even if you don't have a retina display, you don't have a CRT screen from 1982, okay? You have a screen that is kind of a nice quality. So you cannot have a 8080 because this is a basic 1.1 definition of quality of image.
Okay, so what do how about we just skip to the end where you give me the secret answer?
The secret is this. If you have a 150 by 150, the size of your container is 50 by 50. That's it.
Yeah, but that's going to be really small.
Yeah, but if you want a bigger container, you need to have a bigger thumbnail. That means it's 200 by 200 or 250 by 250. Actually, you need to divide it by 3. You need to multiply by 3 the size of the container you are going to display the thumbnail in order to have something that is not super ugly to watch. That's it. That's all what I want,
Okay, so I've got Let's just do 60 by 60. So 3 times 60
It's okay.
is 180.
You are in the margin of error. It's okay. You can go there.
Oh, no, you're like very specific, right? We have to do this very specifically. I feel very bad if I don't do this correctly. So what 180, right? So 180. All right, there we go. So otherwise, Nick will have nightmares tonight about how I screwed this up.
Knowing that
he'll be tossing at night. Oh, Richard, he sucks so much. All right, there we go. All right, now, oh my God, quick is a test question for Bunny. Bunny. Test question. Why is it blank right here? No one.
Why? Because it's Bunny. Okay.
I swear, I'm gonna duct tape your mouth shut, Nick. Right? Do we have a Bunny answer? Why is it blank? No? All right, fine. No answer. It's auto enters on when something is put in the other field. We just put the calculation in. It's an auto enter. It auto enters when you put a new thing in. So I have to reinsert that, right? So here we go. So I'm going to reinsert it. I'm going to find my container, whatever one, this one right here. Reinsert it. It's a question mark, Nick. We did something wrong. What did we do?
It's a question mark.
It's a question mark. We have a question.
Is that a container? The field?
I thought it was a container.
Because...
Oh, I didn't change it, did I? No, I did. It's a container right here with an auto enter. What did we do wrong? Storage.
I have no idea. No, go to...
what the container one? Container one. Why is container... Oh,
you take label. You didn't take the container one. You take the labels.
No. Did I take the label?
Yeah, go to the calculation. I think there's something wrong with the calculation.
Oh, I'm sure it's wrong. Containers. Oh, container size one. Gee, I'm so stupid.
Yeah.
Oh, it was right there. Where's
yeah,
it?
Sorry, I saw it, but it didn't pop to my mind.
But that's why Bunny didn't answer. Beyond confused. All right, so there we go. So now let's try it again. So this is why we don't do stuff on live TV, because it sucks. So once again, question mark means FileMaker has lost its mind or we've screwed up. So now they look very similar, except that will always render at very, very high speed because the thumbnail has already been calculated. It doesn't have to be recalculated on the fly by the FileMaker server. Are you adding a photo? The file will show question mark a file. Yeah, so if you put a file in here, like a CSV, you get a question mark. So you'd have to factor in your auto enter to be. That's a good question, right? Because
Well, that's easy because if you go to watch the video, the get a container attribute stuff, you can take this. You know if it's an image or not.
Oh, okay, good.
This is what it's for. Actually, it's for that. The file type. If you go to the help. And another help, if you go to tools and you show the calculation, you can tools, and the data viewer, and then you go to the calculation, data viewer,
I'm there.
Calculation, watch, and you say okay, click here, and you say okay, you want to plus, and you say get container attribute, and you get the container field.
Okay, so then the field is the right there, and then attribute was all. Is that what you do? All?
Or put all. Quote all. Yeah.
Yep, there you go. And then down comes this.
Then you see if you go down. If you put that. So now you see. So you see this is not an image because you don't have the bracket image. Bracket image bracket. You don't have it. So if you cannot find it, that means you have put an image inside this and see the difference.
Okay, so we can go back to put an image in here.
Close this.
I
need to close the calculator. No.
Gotta close that one. Sorry.
But you can keep the display. You can keep the viewer open. Yeah.
Okay, there it goes. So now we can do. So now we have.
So now you have image.
Yeah.
Right
down there. So this is So this is like almost like an XML indented kind of, or a JSON kind of element, right? So that's the general information here. But we also have image information right here, which is kind of neat. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So neat stuff. What about PDF? Well, PDF is going to give you a different thing, right? So
Yeah, but it will still say image.
will it?
Yeah.
I don't even know where I'd find a PDF. So that's a DMG.
You have on the screen class 2 medical April. I don't know.
Oh, it's right there. It's right there. It's right there. Yeah. Sorry, my bad. Right there. So it on a Mac, it rendered the thumbnail, right? Because we're on a Mac.
Yeah.
And then if I go back here, it shows it still as an image, right? So yeah. So. But yep, there you go. Pretty interesting. All right, well that's it for today. Tomorrow's kind of another wild day, Nick. If you're around tomorrow from 1 to 2 o'clock, it should be fun because we have a whole bunch of small questions that are going to pop up. We will be referencing people on where to go to look at things in terms of where to find information. If you have a question. A lot of people have questions about FileMaker, things you're working on right now. Bring your question tomorrow. Ask us a question. We will probably be able to direct you on where to get an answer for that. That way you can go right and get the answer. Because over the course of an hour, I can't show everyone how to fix every problem you have. Thomas emailed me the other day, and he was like having a problem getting his FileMaker server to export a PDF and then bring it back and save it in a container field. And you have to use a command insert from URL, right? And you have to have a path name. So once again, all sorts of great questions people have. Every day people are doing new and different things, integrating FileMaker. We want to be able to answer those questions. So Nick, if you're free tomorrow, feel free to show up and come in. Are you free, or does Scott have you busy at that time?
I'm busy, but I'm going to free myself.
Oh, you tell Scott that you can't have him that hour period. Yeah. Yep. So that's Kyle Williams is pointing out how to turn off adding fields to the current layout. Yeah, Kyle, my biggest problem is I have about 12 different Macs I work on, and the settings don't cross share everywhere. So I set one computer up, and then of course it's not on the display machine in Santa Clara. So that's how that works. In fact, it drives me nuts because if you go to layout mode in FileMaker, and this will be the last thing I do, up here at the top, see right there by default, it doesn't have the ability to scroll through layouts, which I love. I love the ability to scroll through layouts, right? At the top, if I go up here, the ability to flip through. They got rid of this because someone in marketing thought that'd be a really great idea. Literally, product management didn't understand why they were doing it, but they did it. So I customized the toolbar. I put back the scroll control, and I do this on all my computers, and then I forget not to do it. So there you go. I say done. And then up here at the top, I can flip through my layouts, right? See how that works? I'm glad everyone's here. Appreciate the help today. We'll catch you tomorrow, 1 o'clock Pacific time at fmtraining.tv. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, Nick.
Bye-bye.
Boop, boop, boop. And then you have to press the button. There we go. There's the other button we need.
And the guys just stepped up the whole way. Calm, cool, collected. The quarterback, great read, good patience. More importantly, great job up front protecting this quarterback to give you a chance. And that's all you can ask for.
Try to rally down 10. 9:25 to go here in the fourth. Short motion by Amendola from the left. Brady takes the shotgun snap, stands in, throws it left. Amendola reaches up and snacks a high throw and lands inside the 10, rolling to the 9. Ball slightly behind him, again he makes the grab.